What's up, everybody? Today I'm going to be talking to you about rice bucket training. Is it worth it? Pros and cons, that sort of stuff. So right here in front of me I have a 10-pound bucket of rice. This is just dry rice you'd find at a grocery store, and I've had this bucket for 3 years now. The reason I say that is because a lot of people think it goes gross after time, but if you have a closed container on it, I don't see any bugs in here, and again, it's been a very long time since I've had this bucket. So it stays pretty clean if you're the only one using it. If it's like a community bucket at your rock climbing gym or something like that, that's kind of gross. So I would suggest spending the $5-10 and getting your own bucket of rice. Another reason you would want your own bucket of rice is for the therapy benefits. Rice is the #1 prescription that I give people who are struggling with tendon injuries in their fingers or having some muscular issues in their hands, stuff like that. Anything to do with your hands, I always suggest using rice. The reason for that is by squeezing rice, one, it is a very low resistant exercise. The rice is pretty symmetrical, so as you squeeze it, it's a very, like, you know what to expect when you're squeezing rice. It's not gonna like jump out of your hand and you're not gonna jolt your hand closed. It's very consistent when you squeeze it. And you want that because you wanna be very safe, especially when you're doing therapy. Another and probably the biggest benefit of rice is increasing circulation in the hands. The tendons in our body already have terrible circulation. That's the reason they take so long to develop and so long to recover. So increasing the amount of blood flow sent to the tendons is really going to help with recovery and with strength training. Talking about strength training, the most common question that I get about rice is people asking if it's good for strength training. And my answer to that is yes and no. The reason I say no is because we can't progressively overload rice. What you can do is squeeze as hard as you can, so you can progressively increase the intensity of how much you're gripping. But unless you're using like a hand builder or something like that, or picking up weight with your hands and adding more weight over time, there's really no way to increase the resistance of the rice. Now, the reason I say yes for strength training is if we go back to what I said about increasing circulation, that also has benefits for post-strength days. If we increase the blood flow to our hands and to our tendons, it just like the benefits you would get if you're using it for therapeutic effects, it helps you recover faster because it's sending more blood to that area, so things are gonna heal a lot faster. So that's the reason I say yes for strength training, because it helps you recover from your strength training days, or you can use it as an active rest day, which is a lighter load and you're just looking for a pump to kind of feed that blood into your hands to recover a little quicker. The faster you can recover, the more strength training days you can do, so thus it's going to yield strength training results because it's helping you recover faster in between your actual strength training days. The other really good thing about rice bucket training is the freedom of movement, right? It's basically like, think about moving underwater. You're always surrounded, like you're completely surrounded by resistance. It's very similar with the weight of the rice on your hands because these are very small tendons, especially if we're using extensors or doing extensor exercises. When we open up our hand in that rice, if we repetitively open that, it's going to become challenging because we have slight resistance and it's a very weak movement opening up your fingers. Same thing goes for if I'm just moving my hand around in the rice, like using it and squeezing it, stuff like that. You can move it anywhere you want, and just like being underwater, there's gonna be resistance all around your hand, so it's tough to do those micro movements even in the rice, and there's a lot of benefits to that. There's really no strict protocol to rice training. All you need to do is squeeze the rice. Now, if you wanna get a full sort of hand workout, you wanna do pretty much every action that the wrists and the hands are gonna do. So I would do flexion of the fingers, squeezing the rice like that. I would do hand openers. The only kind of crappy part about rice is it's not a whole lot of resistance going outwards unless you dig your hand really deep in here and then open rapidly. You have to do it like 30 to 50 reps really pretty rapidly to get a pump in your hand. But once you start feeling that pump, it's really difficult to keep it going, and that's how you know it's working. We got flexion, we got extension, we even can put in some rotation as we squeeze. We can do some supination, some pronation, stuff like that. It's really up to you how you want to do it. You can do wrist extension, isolation, so just putting your fist in there and going like this. Whatever you want to do, as long as you're getting a pump in your hands, there's really no protocol to it, and it's really hard to mess it up. You can make this stuff up as you go. You're going to feel it all throughout your tendons. The only thing I recommend is make sure you're squeezing consistently the same and trying to balance out the stress on each finger as you're moving through the exercises. The poor pinky tends to get neglected during strength training for the fingers because it's a little shorter and it's far away from us, so we forget about it. So you don't want to forget about your pinky. It can become very valuable at certain times. Now, the last thing I want to talk about before I go is you see that residue on my hands? That's one of the downfalls of rice. It's hard to do it in circuits and not get your hands covered in rice powder, whatever it is. I'm just gonna call it rice powder. So I do have an alternative method. It's a product that I met a guy in an expo. It's really cool, and it has the same benefits of rice. There's only one like kind of drawback to it. I pulled the glove out so you can see it better. This is the Great Ape Grips like glove grabber rice pail, whatever you want to call it. It's just a sack of rice, but it has a glove on it. So when you put your hand in it, this is obviously reversed right now, just showing you for demonstration. When you put your hand in it, you're not getting all that powder on your hands. It's kind of a pain in the ass to get your hand into this glove, but once it's in here, I mean, you can sit and watch a movie and you're not gonna be covered in rice dust while you're doing it. So I do really like these things. Plus they've done something really cool. They've added like, there's like little tiny, what do you call those things? The squeezy balls, the stress balls. There's little tiny sizes of stress balls in here as well. So you can change it up and do like finger pinch stuff, whatever you want to do. It's kind of like a fidget spinner, rice bucket sort of thing, but it does pump the crap out of your hands just like a rice bucket would. Even more so because the rice is kind of condensed into one spot and you can really squeeze it, and the glove makes it pretty nice to grab onto the rice and it's not sticking to your hands and whatnot. The only drawback that I've found with this is the extensors. So like the hand opening, which rice bucket is really beneficial for because it's a very weak movement, like I was saying earlier. And with this, there's not a whole lot of room to open up your hand and not enough rice at the bottom because that's how much rice is in here. It's at the bottom here, so opening up your hand, you're very limited range of motion, so you can kind of do it, but it's limited. So it's not as good as the actual rice bucket, but for flexion exercises and just squeezing something and pumping your hands up, super great therapy exercise, especially because you can take it indoors. You can use it on your off days, and they're just a really good group of guys who make these things. So I would recommend them. I do like them. It's just if you are hypercritical about your extensors, it's going to be tough to work them out with this. That's pretty much all I can say about rice. Besides cooking it and making a good meal, I wouldn't use the rice that you suck your hands in. I mean, maybe if you boil it, it might be okay. But yeah, try not to share rice buckets. Like, it may not seem gross, but it's pretty gross because we used to have an old dusty rice bucket in the back of our climbing gym, and there was like 15 to 20 people a day just sticking their sweaty paws in there, and that's kind of nasty when you think about it. I was young, I didn't really care, especially, I mean, like afterwards, like you're touching holds everybody else is touching, and then you're like picking your nose and stuff. Just try to be sanitary with it. That's one thing I'd recommend with rice. But rice bucket, to summarize, great training aid, especially for therapy. That would be the #1 use for it. For strength training, there are some drawbacks to it, but there's also good methods to recover with it as well. So it will help your strength training days, especially if you use it as an active rest. But either way, hopefully that helps and explains a little bit about rice bucket training.